Good morning, everybody. It is time for Tao of the Day. I was actually expecting to not get on for another hour, but I had a meeting that I was supposed to have at 9, got changed till 2, right at the last minute. So I am just going with it, and here we are at 9 a.m. Central and doing Tao of the Day. How are you guys? Hope you're doing well. This is Tao of the Day, so if you want to come up and pick a number between 1 and 81, why a number between 1 and 81? Because there are 81 verses in the Tao Te Ching. Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written about 600 BCE, presumably by Lao Tzu, and each one of these verses kind of has wisdom beyond beyond anything that I can offer, of course. But it is a wonderful text that helps us understand how to live a reasonable life. So the Tao Te Ching translates to the way, or I like to look at it as translating into the canon of reason. The canon of reason, because it is the collection of writings to live a reasonable life. I love offering the Tao of the Day here on Wisdom. It is, although I have done many different iterations of Tao of the Day on different social media apps, this is the best. And so if you want to join me, hit that little button, come on up and talk to me about, just give me a number between 1 and 81. From there, we will explore what the Tao has to offer and what it has to offer you. We'll go through it. We'll get some ideas of what your thoughts are. And then we'll go through it line by line to see if we can break it up into something more, tangible. Sometimes ancient texts can be, mysterious, and they can hold a lot of, weird, different, ins and outs. They can hold a lot. And as we explore the Tao Te Ching, we'll see that the Tao Te Ching speaks of things sometimes very specifically, but it's really meant to be seen as a broad spectrum, meant to be seen in a broad spectrum. So explore, as you explore and look into the words and the way that the Tao expresses things, you'll really find that it is here for you to really think about and be present with, because at any moment we can think of things in a broader sense. I feel like I'm rambling on a little bit, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick a number. 50 is the number I'm going to pick today for me. And this is, we're coming out of a really kind of big emotional weekend for me. I ran my first race this weekend. I ran a 5-mile race here in Chicago, and it was great. It was a great race. I apparently did well. Why I say apparently is because I don't know. And someone who runs told me that I did very well. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited that I was able to do well. I'm excited that that I finished and I was able to run the whole race. Not that that means anything, but just not having, for me, not having really trained at all, and being able to get through that was really something. And so here I am going to be reading number 50, and that's going to help me understand some more, I'm sure. So the master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. He knows that he is going to die, and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistance in his body. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. See, this is a beautiful one for me for a number of reasons. One, because my call this morning got shifted 15 minutes before I was going to get on it. And I didn't know it, and I made the call, and I was unable to, like, I left a message, and then I saw after I left the message that the meeting got changed. Graciela. So we're going to get a number from Graciela, and we'll start moving around in that. Hey, Graciela, how you doing?
Good morning, darling. How are you? How's your ankle? How's your body?
Oh, well, my body is good. My ankle is swollen. And I've been, I did. It was great. It was a
It was
wonderful. It
good for
was
your soul?
man. I spent most of Saturday, I think, just in the dark in bed crying. I
Mhm.
think
Oh my
that's really
gosh.
what happened. But no,
Oh,
it was a great it was a great experience, and I think
yeah, that sounds
as we talk about
cathartic.
in the Tao a lot, that's
Mhm.
like being ready for death. And I think a lot died,
Mm,
a lot of the identity died, a lot of things.
mm.
The reason that I was doing the race wasn't to run it, but was
Right.
to like really kind of question my identity and question my
Mm,
associations with things like this.
mm.
And I think that we've shed quite a bit, and I still think there's more. I mean, even just talking about it, I can
Oh my
feel that there is
gosh.
still like there's things that are still being processed, and those things take a long time. So, we
Yeah.
just take it one step at a time.
Oh my gosh, that sounded amazing, Martin. Like, now I
Yeah.
want to have you on my stage even more. And I'm so glad that we didn't do the interview before your race because
Yeah.
it just gets better and better, it sounds like.
Yeah, like
Oh, I'm so
you know
happy for you.
the dark retreat. I even
Hmm.
stated in a post on Instagram that the dark retreat was really a pivotal point. Like, I'm
Right.
glad I did the dark retreat first.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Having the ability to, what I've been calling, go dark, is really important. Like, was important for me to do this race, I think, because I was able to, quote unquote, go dark while I was running, and that made it possible for me to just run the whole thing. And I
Hmm.
didn't
Hmm.
recognize, you know uh, Andy Scarantino, who's on here, who's on Wisdom, she was tracking me because she's a marathon runner. And so
Mm.
she was tracking me, and she was just like, "Oh my God, like, you ran like a 10-minute mile for the first 3 miles, and then you ran a 7-minute mile for the last
Hmm.
two."
Hmm.
And then it was like really interesting, because I don't know how to pace. I don't know anything, and like, and I didn't even recognize that my pace was different. Like, in thinking about it, I didn't, I just kind of like ran. I don't know.
Hmm.
But it was interesting that there's like these ways of tracking, and these ways of, so it's a whole new world, and so it was really good.
Yes, a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. Right? That's awesome.
that is from a Disney movie, I believe, right?
That's right. That's from Aladdin.
Aladdin. Yes, it's been
Yes.
so long since I've been since I have my Disney chops.
Mm.
How was your weekend?
Yeah. My weekend was great. Mother's Day was wonderful. I did
Happy Mother's
nothing.
Day. Yes. Oh, I gotta,
Yay.
yes.
I mean, I mothered, obviously, and I did a lot of singing and a lot of dancing and a lot of like ball throwing, right? Like, Elijah is Elijah. It's his
Yeah.
world. But I didn't cook at all. And
Mm.
OMG, like these people know me so well, I have to say, because what I got was as a gift was music and gift cards to like eat out. They love me so much because
Beautiful.
I don't like cooking at all. Like really, it's just not my thing. I can
Um,
bake though. I like baking, but not so much like cooking and putting meals together. Yeah, no, not really. And so it's just so wonderful to be served and to not have to cook. So yesterday was great. I'm very grateful. And so let me give you a number.
please, yeah.
Hmm. Let's do 23.
I like
I, I
this.
went I went through a few numbers in my head. However, I also remember what those numbers are from listening to you reading them to other people. So I want to
Really?
do.
I don't even
Oh
remember
yeah.
those.
Oh yeah. Like I remember 12. You've read it twice to this mom that does the Tao. I forget her name. While she's taking her daughter to school, something like that. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh,
So anyway, 23.
I think this one is really nice as it relates to, let's
To
see
me?
what it says.
To me?
Express yourself, express itself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the
Mm,
forces of nature. When it blows, there's only wind. When it rains, there's only rain. When the
mm,
clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao and you can embody it completely. If you open
Mhm.
yourself to insight, you are at one with insight and you can use it completely. If
Mhm.
you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss and you can accept it completely.
Mhm.
Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses and everything will fall into place.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what a great Dow to start the week.
Oh, clear that space beautifully.
Yes, I love that. Ugh, I am pumped because it's interesting. There's another eclipse coming this weekend, and the
Hmm.
previous eclipse with Pluto in retrograde, and now Mercury is in retrograde. And what happens is like a lot of negativity, negative, like the shadows, right, and all of that trauma just resurfaces and bubbles up. And so, um, I also posted at some point about teams breaking up, collaborations dissolving, whatever. Like all of this is what's expected in the next few weeks, right?
Yeah.
And the day of the eclipse last weekend, one of my collaborations fell apart. And I was like, this is so timely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Like, so timely how this just happened. And you're bringing it up again in that lost sentence.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if you want to go over all of it, but that was really good. I'm really pumped. Thank you so much. You know why? Because I have a lot to do. And when I woke up, I was kind of dreading it. I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. But now I'm like, I feel like really pumped and inspired. And thank you, Martin. That was the
Absolutely.
perfect number. I love you so much. I missed you.
I love you. It is so, yeah. I was like, I wasn't on like this whole weekend. Like I said, I was just kind of in the dark crying, so I was not on at
Oh my
all. Like
goodness.
I was just here, and I had some really deep support from Andy,
Mm.
who again is that marathon runner, and she was just able to like just be there as a touchstone for me to
Mhm,
kind of go
mhm.
through all of that, and that was beautiful. But I was off of all,
Mm.
like I was just literally in the dark most of the weekend, just kind of like just
Well,
being quiet.
let me tell you, I am here with you a tu lado because
I
yesterday, I was very sentimental as well, and then I got mad that nobody mentioned Heavenly Mother at church. I was like, "What is up with these people?" And then I was like, "Should I mention her?" But then I felt like a little selfish, like I wanted to keep her for myself. And then,
mm,
I had to ponder that and that attitude, and situations in my family and whatnot. And so it was kind of sad, and Michael was like, "Why are you crying? Why are you not telling me what's going on?" I'm like, "You just need to chill. Like, it's gonna pass. Like, it's just a day, right?" And then he said, "I'm gonna mow the lawn." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go cut all of those weeds because they're little flowers and I hate that he mows over them sometimes."
yeah.
And so as soon as I started, like I literally sat down in 90-degree weather. My neighbors probably thought I was crazy with my scissors, just cutting the weeds to put them in a vase for Heavenly Mother. And then I felt so much better.
Mm,
Oh, like she just lifted me so quick after I set those little flowers up. And then I had the best day ever. Yay.
yeah,
So we are so loved.
this first line of like express yourself completely, then keep quiet.
Mhm.
It's like, sometimes it takes us a little while to understand how we need to express ourselves, but once we do,
Right.
keep quiet. Like for me over the weekend when I did that race and I came home and I was just like, everything was fine, but then I recognized, no, I gotta be quiet. I gotta sit quietly, I can go
You know the
through
way that I
this.
see that?
Mm.
I see it as like, I see it as a content creator. You don't chase. I've been pondering this all weekend because I've been observing, how other people handle their businesses on Twitter because I'm new in Twitter, and I want to explore that community. And the way that I see what you just read from the Tao is, you put your 2 cents out there, you put your content out there, and then you wait. There's nothing else you need to do. You just need to consistently put your content out there and express yourself in the most authentic way, right? And then, when it resonates, to whom it resonates, it all falls into place, right? There's no need to chase. And that's what I see. Like, express yourself completely and then be quiet.
Yeah,
That's what I see.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's interesting, like this one goes into this like really kind of lines of like, when it rains, it only rains when it, like, and all of that. But there's another
Mhm, mhm.
translation that says, you know, the wind and rain don't last forever. If nature knows when to give it a rest sometimes, so should you. And I really like that kind of simple way of looking at it. Like, give it a rest. Like, you made your content. Now sit. Sit quietly. Like, be here. When the clouds pass through, the sun shines through, right? And then the sun's here, and then just kind of
Right.
like allow that to hold that space on its own. Like, trust that
Yes.
it will hold space without you
Mhm.
having to hold its hand,
Right,
you
right,
know
and yes, and I have such a deep relationship with clouds as well. Like, Dr.
mm,
Rao knows that for me, the highest, 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 like, feeling of peace and love is that feeling of like walking on a cloud or just floating on a cloud. Um, and so yeah, it just resonates with me a lot.
yeah. And these
So
three, there are
perfect.
these three, and I don't, if you have to step away, because I know you got stuff to do, please do, and I'll continue talking. But
Oh, thank you. No, I'm willing to
okay, well, if
stay
you're
if
good,
there's
yeah.
nobody in the
So
line.
this, well, we have people in line, but I'm going to go through this either way. So stay, please.
Oh, yes,
If
please.
you
Okay.
if you open yourself to the Tao, you're at one with the Tao and can embody it. So there are these three things, like
Mhm,
opening yourself to the Tao, opening yourself to insight, and opening yourself to loss.
mhm.
Right? These are like three different sorts of things, right? The Tao is like this eternal, and you can embody it. This
I
is like
see that as
action through
divinity. So
non-action.
for me, the Tao is the
Yeah.
divinity. Okay.
And then insight is like intellect,
Right.
and you can use it completely. And then
Correct.
loss is the body. It's death. It's death of identity. It's death of the things around you. It's death of this moment, because one moment will always relinquish itself to the next. And so we have these three, right? Your divinity, your intellect, and the body. And if
Correct.
you can embrace all of these three things, right? Open yourself to the Tao, you can embody it completely. Meaning, not
Yes.
embody
Mhm.
as like in the body, but embody as, and once again, my buddy Andy Scarantino has been talking a lot recently about embodiment and what that means. And so if you want to kind of check that out, but
Oh, yeah. You should
embodiment
send that
is
to me.
really, yeah, I'll definitely send that to you. She just released a podcast today about it. It was wonderful.
Mm.
Um, but if there's this whole embodiment idea of like really bringing it in, and just like it not like having to practice making a different choice until you embody it. And when once you embody it, it's just part of the program. You have reprogrammed yourself
Right.
to be at one with the Tao, to not go ahead with the story, to not lean on
Mm.
your insight so much. And then when you open yourself to insight, you can use it completely. But
Mhm.
now it's working in tandem with the Tao. Now you
Right.
kind of go back and forth, and you have this dance. And then when you can open yourself to loss, because the Tao is above loss, insight is indifferent to loss, because it's just like what
Because it
you're
knows
doing.
better.
Right. But when you
It's that
experience loss,
intuition.
right, when you
Yeah.
experience loss, that means you're grounded in this earthly sense alone. But when you can open yourself to loss, you can accept it completely. Now, all three of these things work together, and you get to be free in your life moving forward, and
Mhm,
with
mhm.
insight, with deep intelligence of the Tao, and freedom from your own expectations.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Martin John.
Absolutely.
I mean, lots of expectations. Did you see my latest post? That breath work about letting go of expectations in toxic relationships. That's exactly what it talks
Yep.
about. And you're amazing. I love you. And,
Mm.
looking forward to seeing you this week. Please send me that link so I
Yeah,
can
I'll
listen
send
to
you
that.
I'll send you a couple things through
Great.
Instagram. It'd be great.
Awesome. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Absolutely.
Bye.
We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we will. Bye.
All right. So that was Graciela number 23. We're going to be bringing Kristen Brown on. Kristen,
Morning.
how are you, my love?
Well, I'm just first of all, hi 10. on your race, and I'll tell you why real quickly. Because a while back, I've never been a runner. I hate running. And I said, God damn it, I'm going to run. And I started running and I ran my first 5K, I don't know how many years ago. And my most exciting thing was that I didn't stop. Just what you said.
Yeah.
I ran the whole time or jogged or whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know? And I was like, I was so proud of myself because running is like, I don't know, you said you didn't do any training. I was kind of jogging around the neighborhood. But it takes a certain kind of something. And I'm just really proud of you and go you.
No, thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a big, like, I didn't know it was gonna be what it was over the rest of the weekend, but it was great to be able to once again, I only ran like 4 times, and I only ran 2 miles
Hmm.
each of those 4 times. So I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, and I was encouraged, and told, you can walk if you need to or whatever, and I was like, okay, yeah, well, I guess I'll do it then, because there was all this I was having these foot problems and stuff, these ankle and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did it, and my ankle's swollen, and once that goes down, I'll start jogging again, and we'll see if I do another race or if that was one and done, and we'll see what happens. So it's
I
just gonna
think I,
take it one step at a time.
I think I've done a total of 3 and then didn't do it again. That's all
Yeah,
I,
you know,
that's all
like
I needed. I was done.
I don't know, it wasn't about the length or anything. Like
Yeah,
for me, it was I told myself I would just sign up for the first race that came through my inbox, and that was it. And
love
so I
it.
did it.
I love it.
Yeah,
Okay, so as far as the number goes, my bro, how
yeah.
about can you just kind of do the fan where you kind of fan through the book and just stop on a page? Because I can't
I
come up with a
can.
number.
I can. Let me get my book in front of me because I do have, like, I
Oh,
do
do you
it
do it on the
digitally.
computer?
I do, but I have my book right here because that's what I
Oh,
do.
okay. Okay.
40. So let me go to 40.
Is it really 40? I was
Yeah.
thinking 40 earlier.
Yep. There you go. So 40 is short.
Okay, good,
But
because I'm short.
return is the movement of the Tao.
Return.
Yielding is the way of the Tao.
Hmm.
All things are born of being. Being is born of non being. And that's it. What are your thoughts?
I think we've had this one before.
Oh, so there's more lessons for you here.
I
So
think there's, yeah, I think we might have had this one before. Can you read the first part again?
let me actually go to a different translation. And then maybe. The Tao is always heading back to where it came from. Tao advances by not pressing forward. Things exist because they are. They are because they once were not.
You know, I don't know if it was this one, because I say I've heard this before, but it could have been you translating for someone else or
Mm-hmm.
something similar. But it just feels like just more surrender,
Yeah.
just letting go, just flowing, which I feel like we talk about every time I get on here.
Yeah. So, and really I think that's at the core of the Tao, right? Is being able to
Yes.
be present. So here, like, let's just break this down. And the Tao is always heading back to where it came from. Where are you heading back to?
Where am I heading back to? Oh, I have to think about that because there's probably lots of things. Where am I heading back to? Probably the child, the way we are when we're children, where we're very unattached to what people think.
You think so?
Yeah, 100%.
You don't think they care about what their parents think?
Um, not unless they're abused. I mean, kids are very free flowing. Their ego is not fully formed. They just float through life and say what they say, and then it is, through a lot of the judgments that we're getting from outside people is when we start to play small and to clam up and to shut down. And no, they're very free flowing
Okay.
for sure. So I feel like that's like, out of the mouth of babes. How many times have we heard that? Right? Kids just say it.
Two or three.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I don't hear that very often. I've
Yeah.
heard it, and I heard it somewhere like in my 20s or 30s, and I had to ask somebody, "What the hell does that mean?"
Yeah, it just means kids say it. They say it like they see it without
Right.
any sort of filter. And being a mama of 3, I've seen this a
Yeah.
lot. And I've
And happy
taken
Mother's Day.
well, thank you, my darling. And
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of cues from them because if they say something, I'm like, they're not filtered. And not filtered
Right.
in a coarse way, but
Right.
my
Right.
my voice was shut down a lot growing up in various ways, not necessarily from family. It was just various ways. And my path has been returning to that, which I'm pretty much there, but it's like the jello's in the refrigerator now, it's solidifying kind of thing.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. This next line is interesting in this translation where it says, Tao advances by not pressing forward. As you're talking about, like, from the mouths of babes or whatever, like, there's no, like, when kids say what they say, there's no,
There's no agenda.
right, that's the word I was looking for. There's no
Yeah.
agenda to it, right? So there's no pressing forward to anything. It's just, this
No.
is what I say.
I am in personally, like, I wish we had time I could explain the whole thing, but I'm just in a place of, in Kristen's human language, just not giving any shits, meaning not being attached to outcome of anything because I don't know, and I've only ever suffered when I've been attached to outcome. So
Right.
when I look back on my life now from this age backwards, I'm like, everything worked out. So I can either fight it and worry and think I need to strong hold my way through things, or I can let go and flow. And I'm more
Right.
about the flow now. That's it's just the flow. Letting go. It's just always letting go.
Yeah. So that's like that very much kind of talks about this idea of advancing without pressing forward, right? You flow, and there's no need to press in a direction that you feel is forward. You're advancing, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're always moving forward.
Okay, you're 1,000%, and that's very timely for me because as far as growing my business, whatever I do, things, goals we have around the house or whatever, I feel my way to those things. I don't muscle my way to those things.
Hmm.
Like marketing, metrics, all that stuff, that's a bunch of hoo-ha for me. I don't
Yeah.
think about it at all. Like, really, this is about heart, it's about energy, it's about love, it's about attraction, it's about um, clearing away the lead umbrella that stops us from attracting what we want into our life and just becoming um, the receiver of the thing. To me, it's like when if you want something and you just let go and let go and let go and then continue to let go, you will get there. Period. You will. It's happened a
Yeah.
million times in my life.
Like in our world right now, there are so many people clamoring for us to do things in a way that they believe is right. And it's very difficult, I think, for individuals like yourself and myself and other people here on Wisdom that are really kind of like in this space of wanting to work intuitively or wanting to work in line or engaged with the depths of who they are, to be able to be like, you know what, this doesn't resonate with me, and to be able to do things in a new way and to figure out what is my way of doing it.
Well, yes, the first sentence you said is I think it's difficult for. I will say, based on Kristen, it's not for me anymore. I follow only inspiration. I follow only um, what resonates with me. I've been trapped in the market this way, do that, do this thing. That thing sent me down into a pit of left brain and out of
Right.
and no anymore. It just has to resonate because I know that the only things that really worked out easily for me were when things were resonating for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, like, all I'm trying to say is that all I was kind of coming at is like that is not always easy to know. because we're constantly getting messages from everywhere that say, like, there is a right way to do things, and to
Yes.
engage in, right, like, and all of the path that you've taken before was taken when anytime you've done things that are outside of your resonance,
It was
you're
terrible.
yeah,
It
it's
was terrible.
terrible, and it doesn't work, and you have to give up of yourself and live. This is where, when I talk about things of like living under the influence, right? We live under the influence of the
Yes.
messaging that we keep bringing up.
Yes.
And then
Oh,
this 40 kind of wraps up with, things exist because they are. Things are because they once were not. How do you see that? And I can read the other translations last
yeah, do
section
the
as
other one
well.
too. Wait, things exist because they
All
are.
things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. So that's, those two are stating the same thing.
Oh,
But how do you hear that?
okay, all things are born of being, and being is born from non being.
Uh-huh.
All things.
So I'm going to take a stab at this in
Things just
terms
are.
of, go
Okay.
on.
I was going to say, things just arise from beingness. Like, that's the ultimate state of connection to spirit, is when we are being. And things will naturally arise from it. Kind of the same thing about surrender. Like, when I'm in my beingness and in my, just letting go state, it's amazing to me what crosses my path.
Yeah.
The most amazing opportunities come up, the coolest people come up, things happen. When I'm trying to do and I'm struggling, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Is that what you would think?
Well, like, I love these two lines because they're so easy to, like, they can mean so many things. So,
Hmm.
like, we can always put things into this. Like, I look at it like all things are born of non-being. And this is coming from this idea of return is the movement of the Tao, yielding is the way of the Tao. Those are the things we were talking about earlier. Again, different translation. All
Yeah.
things are born of being. Being manifests, right? So that's all things. All
Yeah.
things, whether that's a thought or an
Yes.
object or whatever, like, all things are born of being. So, like, and even all of the information that we have around marketing is born of being.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
this is there, right? But being is born of non-being. So, like, it's no longer things that are being born, right? Things
Yes.
are born of
I'm
being.
following you, Martin. I'm following you.
Yeah. But being, like, your ability to be is born out of non-being. And so, like, without
Yeah.
you attaching to the identity and to the outcome and to all of those things, as you
Yes.
can let go of that, you can be. From that space of being, you will create things.
Yes. Yes. I hear
And
you.
those
And I
things
love,
are
yes.
thoughts, ideas, change, universes, like, whatever it is, that, like, because all things are born of being.
Yes.
But in order to be, you have to start with non-being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I see that.
I love that. I'm just letting that, I'm marinating because I
Yeah,
love to
marinade.
I'm just marinating. Yes, I like that because that is one of the things that everybody's like, do this, do that, do this, do that. You got to do this. No, you have to have a list and you have to, ah, it's
That's
exhausting. And
being, right?
yes, and
That's
well, no,
being.
yeah, I think that's the doing when everybody's telling you what you're
Yeah,
supposed to
you're
be.
not necessarily being connect. That's a being
Yeah.
that's not necessarily coming from non-being, right? That's a
Yes.
that's a that's a thing, right? That's yet another
Yes.
thing. Your list is a thing, and that thing is coming from
Yeah.
maybe your natural source of fear, and fear could be
Yes.
being for you, and that being is coming from non-being, which is all of the deepness that you are the belief that you're separate,
Yes.
right, and
Yes.
all of that, right. And so like, that deep separation is something that we do have to face.
Oh, I'm timing out, my dear. I love you. Thank you.
Love you, thank
Bye,
you.
honey. Bye.
All right, so we are going to bring Lois up. Man, this is just like Mother's Day catch-up. What is up, Lois? Happy Mother's Day. Lois, you with me? Gotcha. Do I gotcha? Lois? I heard something. You made a noise. You know, I hate to do this. You got me. I'm hearing clicks, Lois, but I'm not hearing you. All right. There's another click. Lois, Lois, click, click, click. Not hearing you, my dear. All right, we're gonna switch out to Energy Lady. And Lois, if you get this, you please come back. All right, we're gonna bring Energy Lady up. Hey,
Good
how you doing?
morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah, I
How was your
started
Mother's
taking.
Day?
It was nice. It was quiet. I started taking Sundays off. Funny enough, it was
Wow,
Mother's Day.
you're breaking up
Can you hear me now?
today. Get a little bit better.
Oh, how weird. Because I
No,
see good reception. You can't hear
no,
me?
no.
I'm here.
Yeah,
Hello.
okay, I got you now.
That's so weird. I haven't moved.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Something. You were underwater for a while and now you're back. So, well, how was your weekend?
It was nice. I started taking Sundays off, completely off. And funny enough, it ended up on Mother's Day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I
That
had a
that'll
nice,
that'll happen
quiet,
every year.
right? And so I just had a nice, quiet, kind of spa day, shut down, read, you know, after I sent out all my Mother's Day wishes to people.
Right.
But yeah, just shut down. It was awesome. So I feel very rejuvenated.
Yeah, you're breaking up again.
That is so weird. You sure it's
Yeah,
not
I don't
you?
know.
I think it's the
I
app.
mean, it might be me, it might be the app, but if it is me, but I still need to hear you, like. So,
Does
um,
does that
so
work any
uh,
better?
I mean, I heard that, just fine, but it's kind of going in and out. But we'll just move on. Do you have a number for me?
62.
62. That way, when we start talking, we can figure out if this is all. And those guys start barking. Okay, so the Tao is the center of the universe. A good man's treasure, a bad man's refuge. Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because being one with Tao, when you seek, you find, and when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everyone loves it.
Okay, that's pretty big.
Yeah. So we can go over this line by line, but if we are going to do that right off, what I'd like to do is like look at this last sentence, look at this last section, and then go back to the beginning and see how we connect these things. Because we got this good man's treasure, bad man's refuge in the beginning. So let's take that with us as we read this last section. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because being at one with Tao, when you seek, you find, and when you make a mistake, you're forgiven. That is why everybody loves it. Okay, so good man's treasure, bad man's refuge. When you seek, you find, good man's treasure. When you make a mistake, you're forgiven, bad man's refuge.
What is a good man's treasure?
Well, when you seek, you find. So the treasure is finding that which you seek.
And if I've been seeking, as this says, the connection to me so I can have that, just that connection, would that be the same thing?
Well, I think yes, yes, when we kind of break it down to define it. But I think what we have here is the Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge, right? Like the good man's treasure is the Tao, right? It is, you know, you're seeking yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that could be referred to as the Tao,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how broadly. So, is yourself contained in a box,
No.
or is it the broad spectrum of what this is referring to as Tao? And we could say Tao is self. The self is the center of the universe, a good man's treasure, a bad man's refuge. But self often begins to be self referential, right? So then we start referencing our literal self, our separate self that we see, that self that really is just an illusion.
Right.
So the Tao is the center of the universe, good man's treasure, bad man's refuge. When we bring that to the bottom, when you seek, you find. Ah, that's the treasure. The treasure, like the treasure is finding, is the finding of the thing you seek. That becomes the treasure. Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for your glasses, you can't find it, can't find it. Once you find it, that's the treasure. When you make a mistake, you are forgiven, so you can hide in the Tao. And you can recognize that there you can make a mistake and be forgiven. Even if you're a bad person, even if that mistake, quote unquote, is, you know, is something that is bad, like you are forgiven no matter what.
Because to me, forgiven is accepting the fact that I'm imperfect, so it's all okay.
Yeah, and I always, you know, one of my things, and you've probably heard this, and I always say this when people wanna think that they're imperfect, is that don't let your definition of perfection rob you of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
I tell people all the time I'm perfectly imperfect. There's no way to tell me good, bad, or ugly. It is what it is for me, but it's not, it is what it is. It's just,
right, right,
it's the
right,
Tao. It's the Tao.
right. This
That's,
is
yeah, this is
exactly,
what it
yeah.
is. That's it. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not pretty. It's not ugly.
Right.
It's perfectly imperfect, which takes away to me all expectations of what's supposed to be.
Mm.
Wow, that was a rhyme.
So then this one continues. So now that we've kind of understand what this first line is referencing, right? So the
Yes.
Tao, the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, it will, you know, that which I seek, I will find. The bad man's refuge, I will be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it.
And that's kind of going back to your, in my eyes, going back to yours and Kristen's talk discussion about marketing. It's the same concept. There is no right, wrong way to do it. There, you know, even in living, there's no right or wrong way to make things happen. It's just, it's ours. So if I go beyond the norm of, you know, typical society, I'm going to be seeking in the way that the Tao's been asking me to seek. I don't know if that makes
Yes.
sense, but I hope it
No,
does.
yeah. You know, like I also like this is like, okay, so good man's treasure, bad man's refuge. Like it gives you what you seek and forgives you. Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. Like two individuals, right? Like the good man's treasure. Everybody's like, oh, I got treasure. I got honors with fine words. I got respect because I can do good things. But the Tao is beyond all value. This idea that that anything has value, that, you know, it, everything just like we were saying, everything just is. It doesn't have value. It doesn't. It's not the right thing or the wrong thing. It just is here, right? And the Tao, as it responds to the world and as it reacts upon the world, is beyond all value,
Well,
and no
and
one can achieve it. And when we can experience that, like I know I've experienced it where it's like, oh my God, there's no words, there's no money, there's no thing that can replace this in my life.
right,
Like, this thing is so intense that it and it has no value, quote unquote, on the market, right? There's no way to buy this. There's no way to equate this to value in any way.
And
You know,
value, yeah, and value's been a new thing of me understanding in a totally different way. And what I'm seeing and hearing in this is, for years I was thinking, why am I not doing what I'm doing? What is it that's here? And I realize now that it's not up to me to decide when. It's up to me to embrace what is in the moment, to see what the Tao has in front of me instead of trying to figure out the future. So the paradigm, like I said, going back to your first conversation, the paradigm is being broken on the how to, and it's more
yeah,
of the
just watching it
paradigm.
unfold.
Right, it's the get to now for me, not the have to.
Yeah.
And the get to is, like you just said, allowing it to unfold, but I get to let it unfold instead of I have to. And that's in anything, even with the Tao. People really, really embrace it like they're supposed to. And if I don't do this, then the law of attraction, no matter what, the law of attraction is going to show you what you're doing. Period. End of
Right.
story.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
it.
all it's going to do. And
That's all.
if you think you can manipulate it because you're already going about it in a you're already going about it in a colonial way.
Right, and I'm laughing because there's so much. I was reading this book, but there's so much out there telling you how to think and be with the law of attraction. I'm like, no, the law of attraction is a
It's a byproduct.
concept. It's a
Yeah.
concept to look at to see what's in front of us, not to make ourselves, create what we want. And
Right, because you're creating what you want. Like that's
exactly,
impossible.
right, exactly. And it's funny how much money people have made on this concept of law of attraction.
Yeah, and I mean, people are able to manipulate things, but that
For
manipulation
how long?
often has right there is often another side to it all. But
Yeah,
as this
no, no,
theme
that's cool.
continues,
Keep going.
yeah. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, whatever like when you die to yourself, you become the new leader. When you have a leader of your group, or when it's a mayor or president or whatever, don't offer to help them with your wealth or expertise. Offer instead to teach them about the Tao. And that's interesting, because as our country becomes more of this like oligarchy, sort of like the people in charge are just people with money. As we kind of like guide into that, like we have to become we as the people who understand the depths of love, the depths of connection, like are going to have to be able to understand that this is what we want to teach, and we want to teach that to each other because we are the leaders, right? We are the actual leaders of this planet, like we're the ones that are out in front and like guiding this planet in a way that is healthy.
And that oh, I'm telling you, that last part you just read is. Can you read that again?
Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao.
And my teachings are connectivity and playfulness. That just described what I'm doing. And people don't have to know that in the sense of when they read that, but that is what I'm being asked to do is don't don't sit there and say, I'm the leader, follow me. It's let's connect in and see what's there. Let's
Right.
connect in. Let's plug you in, whatever it is. And that simply supported what I'm doing. So that's awesome because
So,
I've been asking for pictures. So y'all's is helping me. Keep going.
good. Yeah. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find, and when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it.
Okay, that makes sense. In other words, make this simpler. That's what's coming into me. Allow this to be simpler. Make this simpler. It's been too complicated in my life. I'm just
Yeah.
speaking.
Because being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find, and when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. Yeah, and there's no right. There's no judgment there, right? We judge the mistake, so we're forgiven. We judge the fact that we have the expectation to find something or that we want something, and so when we start being at one with the Tao, we start letting go of the idea that these things exist, and that's why it's a good man's treasure and a bad man's refuge.
Right.
As we
Yep.
said in the beginning, it's a bad man's refuge because they can turn into it. Um, but the good man, like when we seek, we find, and it's not about seeking and finding a thing; it's about seeking
No, and
and
seeking
finding.
and seeking, and it's really interesting you say this because I know I'm going to drop. Interesting you say this is that I was throughout my life, I was told that I'm asking too many questions. Why can't I just accept it? Why don't I just do it? And I never could, okay? But now, like I said, I've been asking, give me some more visuals so I can do this, own this. I don't see it. And you just gave me that visual, and that visual
Mm.
is what I created. We get to fine tune it. That's it. We get to
Yeah,
fine tune it because I will always seek. I will always seek. Why? Because that's what my life is. That's the joy of my life is to keep walking forward to see what's next for me.
yeah,
But enjoy now.
right.
So
Yeah.
that was awesome. Is that it, or did we have
That's
more?
it. That's it. That is
Oh,
why
you're a
everybody
doll.
loves it. Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Oh, I am getting a little glitchy. I know I had Dr. Rao in here, and then I went to collect him, but it it didn't. Oh, there he is. That took a little bit. There we go. Okay, we're gonna bring Dr. Rao up, and then I'm gonna call it. I had a very emotional weekend, so I'm gonna end it early. I'm gonna cut it. How you doing, Dr. Rao?
Hi, John. How are you?
I am well. I am well. I
Uh,
would love to hear your thoughts on what we were talking about.
Yeah, that leaders and the Tao, that's a very important point you are making.
Yeah.
Basically, you see, I will come in the reverse gear, then we can understand the context better.
Mm-hmm.
It seems 130 million people were dead in the 20th century due to various wars. That was an estimate, I think, reported one time by Eckhart Tolle. You know,
Okay.
uh, what he was making an argument about this ego and how the ego is keeping us away from the Tao.
Yeah.
Um, so egocentric is still going on. If
Yep.
you look at anybody's conversation, they say I. They don't mean the inner I; they mean that egoic I. You know
Yes.
so it's for them to discover and transcend that. Otherwise, like now Putin, what he's doing because of his ego, he's kind of wanting to really hurt to Ukraine and in the process all the world too. So
Yeah.
that kind of egoic pampering, egoic expansion goes on all the time, and that's why the leaders they want to play to the people's ego too. Somebody was saying about Trump administration, and they said it's not that he has a vision, he wants to direct these people to something, but he was picking up on what they were doing, the people, and then he is playing to the tune, and that's why they like him, the people who like him, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's validity there, because if you see around the world, most of the people are feeling like, oh, we have to protect ourselves, other people are taking away from us, the immigration, all that. So that kind of not allowing, not embracing other people has grown because resources have become limited and all that, right? But basically the egoic expansion,
Yes.
not erasing it and embracing the Tao. See, when you
Right.
embrace the Tao, you embrace everybody, everything, because that's only one energy and all that. But when the egoic energy separates you from the Tao, then those leaders become the cause of this kind of turmoil in the society. You know.
I agree. Yeah. And I think that, it's I was once talking to someone about like how we gain energy. When
Mm.
you have even the slightest bit of
Yeah,
connection like to the Tao, like you will have energy. Like that's where
exactly.
energy is.
Right. I know.
And
Even few seconds, John.
yeah,
That
that's right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
But when you don't have a
Hmm.
connection, when you reject that connection, and when you're living in the total egoic sense. I believe that there is like some way that you gain energy from other people,
Hmm. And
and
not other people, but if they are in the Tao, and then you are become synchronous with the Tao, then you will gain the energy. But if the other people have this egoic thing, then it is negative for you, actually.
yes, it's negative.
Yeah.
It's negative, but it's
Yeah.
still energy to stay alive.
Well,
It's
I
like
don't know, we want to go with that because all
we
that.
don't want to go with that, no, but it's
Yeah.
disease and it's illness.
But this American lifestyle is really breeding the ego more than putting
Yes.
people into Tao. The ones who are closer to that, you see, even if you see the spiritual activities of the so-called spiritual pursuing people here, they talk about themselves first, and then they talk about how they are going to change other people.
Yes.
We are not
Yeah.
supposed to change other people. We
That's
just be,
right.
just be it, and then that will be enough. Uh,
I had a post the other day on Instagram that was like, "Do you think you can help other people? You're wrong. There are no other people." And it was
yeah,
just this idea of like, no, just be here, you know?
yeah. That statement, "there are no other people," is very important because one time my son was very angry with Trump. You know,
Yeah.
he was going at it with the really anger. He thinks he's justified in that anger and all that.
That's right.
Then I said, "Remember, there are no other people.
Yes.
These politicians are also part of us, but then they may have seeing things in a different way, and they are ignorant of what they are doing, and they are in that egoic self, and that's why they are separating themselves and causing problems for themselves and everybody else too." Then he stopped doing that. Okay,
Mhm.
you can work against the injustice without emotionally reacting. That's what essentially Gandhi's nonviolence was. And not Gandhi's, anybody's nonviolence principle from the beginning was like okay, don't blame other person because he's your brother.
Right.
Your neighbor is your brother. Every religion said that, right? But they won't see this. I think comes very quickly, and they immediately they kind of immerse in that. I think the biggest thing was not realized was like we were talking about the joy of being in the Tao or the Brahman or anything that ancients talked about, right?
Yeah.
Once you once you feel the joy of that, then you will let go this limiting I ego. Even
Mhm.
here also, on Wisdom app, they want us to resonate with their mind.
Right.
But that is like an injustice, right? No, we don't want to resonate with the mind. We want to understand the mind and get rid of it, so that you are in the energy where good thoughts come up, and then you'll be doing good work too. No, you have to agree with us, otherwise we don't accept you. We don't really appreciate it. But that's okay, because we are in a good energy. You prefer to stay in that.
Yeah. Yep, and it's interesting as that happens, we do know that they are making incremental shifts. That the idea that they want to help people is still like possibly an incremental shift from their past, which they might have just been totally selfish in
Uh,
that sort of bodily way. And
No,
so
some
yes,
of some of
that's a
it
shift.
could be that they're masking their pain by trying
Yes.
to show to other people.
Of course. But
That's
but
I find lots.
until they make that first shift, that
Yes.
pain won't be able to be exposed
Yeah.
for them to move into a place where the ego
Yeah.
is more suppressed, or more, I don't want to say suppressed, but more welcomed and loved in the
Yeah.
way that it doesn't have to be such an influence.
I think it is more like a quality of the joy you have to feel, John. Then you will be stuck in that. You know,
Yes.
rather than the pain they will avoid, but then they don't discover the joy of being in the Brahman or in
Right.
the Tao. That's what I'm
They
talking.
yeah, they're currently enjoying not being in pain,
Yeah.
or not focusing on the pain, or not having that for this moment, but it's like that deep love for just being in that state of bliss at
Yeah.
like
Sense
even
of
this weekend
sense
when
of I, the agency, if it doesn't go, all this becomes only semantics. The sense of
Right.
agency goes, then they will discover the joy of Brahman.
Yeah.
Literally, this morning I got about 3:30 or so. I just got up just like that. Then I was reading Taittiriya Upanishad, which is the ancient text too. In that, they have 3 chapters called Brahmavalis. Vali means description of that. They were talking about what is Brahman, how to reach Brahman, and what is the effect on you. Very invigorating, very fantastic. Then once you read the clarity, then you say, how come the whole world is matching in the other way? Kind of.
Mm.
So this, I think, it's like a more of a modern mind gamesmanship about not the consequence of not realizing the Brahman, how divided the world has become. And
Yeah.
we see the consequence of this pain and everything. You cannot really get out of the pain unless you discover the joy. So it's called raga. Raga means color, right? Ka-
Mm.
ka- so color is either it attracts you or it distracts you. Those same energy though. So you got to get out of that raga. That is vairaga. They call it. Vairaga means some dispassion to all these so-called superficial benefits.
Mm.
I think people are not able to see that because they are not seeing like Tao for Tao's sake.
Right.
Don't
Right.
substitute anything else. Tao for Tao's sake. Then that is going to be approached by a leader. For example, ancient India has the record of this. The kings were sent to the sages to bring them up from age 4 or 5 years, and then those sages, what they did was they nurtured them so that they will treat their peoples as their children when they grow up, right? The
Mm-hmm.
grows up and then becomes this nurturer. So that's why he had a ruling that was so good, because he himself psychologically doesn't need anything. He already
Right.
touched the Brahman, or and then he stays in that energy, right? And that's why he was able to really sacrifice all the superficial luxuries, power, pleasure, and all that. By the way, I'm going to do a talk on chakras, John. I would like you to participate in that too, because I think
Sure.
it, and it will provide a lot of contribute to the too, I believe. What it is chakras understood like energy centers. No, they are like a psychological states that people go through, and
Yep.
then it's not like one chakra or other, but you will be giving prominence as your realization happens. So in that, first 3 chakras like for survival, and the second and third is for the pleasure and the power,
Yep.
right? And the most of society gets stuck in that. But when you
Yeah.
your heart with empathy and all that, and then you go to the bigger chakras of the higher 3 are where you really march toward the realization of self, which is the Brahman or Tao or whatever we call that energy, right?
Yeah.
So people get stuck in the second and third, like a pleasure or power. And all this talk about, oh, let me approximate all the Brahman, all the Tao to my ego. That I see practically.
Yeah.
They may get a little bit enjoyment when they have an insight into that, but then do they stay with the insight, or is their sense of agency so strong they can never get into that by themselves?
That would be, yeah, that's a beautiful, like, I would love to hear. When are you doing that? Is that today?
No. I've got a lot of things this week, but I
Okay,
come
good.
to you because I just want to say hello and then just
Oh yes, I always love having these conversations.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
always so good for me
I'm
because
having a
we're all on a journey.
I'm having a major retreat for some people who are really big time players. They are coming
Oh,
to my house at the end of the May, so we got to prepare for that. There's a lot of socialization, a lot of
yes,
dining.
yes, yes.
There will be no whining though, dining and sightseeing and a lot of discussions with me they want to have. See, I have a course called Transformation from Ego to Servant Leadership. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so what you're talking about, the leaders, these people are leaders like that. It's not like a
Yeah.
government thing, but in the society they are. In the field they are, more like a
Yep.
corporate leaders, So my energy is going to go towards that, and I already had a framework, and I just want to expand so that they get the most out of it. For me, it's like any other day, but I want meaningful for them so that they are going to be, what the rule is. They're going to be with me, and all the cell phones are shut off.
Yeah. Well, I think that's beautiful, and
Yeah,
thank you for your work. We
yeah,
need more people to be to. It's
right.
great when we can just
Yeah.
get
I will
people
let
to.
you know the Chakra. I will send you an Instagram message when I'm doing that.
Absolutely, yeah,
Then you can
that would
prepare.
be
I
great.
will send you
Yeah.
way ahead of that.
Thank
Okay?
you.
All right. Bye.
All right. Oh, I'm gonna go back to 50 because that was my number today, and I didn't really get to go through it much. But I do want to just touch on it, and I'm not gonna be taking up any more guests because I'm pretty exhausted. This weekend was emotional for me, and I'm noticing that like, yep, that's still there, and I can kind of go dark on it a bit, but I do want to finish this one, and I want to allow myself to be here and to be present and to allow the Tao to speak through me as I read this last one again. The master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings, just like I'm doing right now. Look at me, the master. Ugh, go get it. He knows that he is going to die and he has nothing left to hold on to. I don't even have to hold on to this episode of the Tao of the Day. No illusion in his mind, no resistance in his body. And like there is, there may be a little resistance in my body, and maybe I could have ended this a little bit ago. But we're gonna flow into it. We're gonna yield into it. He doesn't think about his actions, they flow from the core of his being. There was that decision of making, and I think this is something that I've been learning more. He doesn't think about his actions, they just flow from the core of his being. Wow, like I could still do a lot more work on that. That's for sure. Um, but we are, Lois is on the line, and I know she doesn't need much from me. And I know Lois was here a bit ago, so Lois, hang on one second. Let me go through this 50. He holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. Lois, I did say I wasn't bringing anybody up, but I am going to bring you up and say Happy Mother's Day. And then I can send you the text for your Tao of the day. um,
Oh, you're
Lois, how you
good.
doing,
You're
girl?
good. I fell asleep on you. I fell asleep on you.
Ah, is that what happened?
I'm
Okay,
tired.
well, I'm glad you
Yes.
were
And I was like,
napping.
oh,
Like,
I guess I fell asleep.
that's all
Okay.
right.
I
That's all right.
only wanted 12 because 12 kept coming up for me all weekend.
Okay, 12 kept coming up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read
It's
it for
12
you,
now.
and then I'll send it to you. But we're not going to go through it here, just because
No,
I'm
that's
exhausted.
good. No, that's
All
good.
right.
I missed my. I fell asleep on you.
That's all right. That's all right. So number 12 is a beautiful one. Colors blind the eye, sounds deafen the ear, flavors numb the taste, thoughts weaken the mind, desires wither the heart. The master observes the world but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is as open as the sky. So, was your weekend full of stuff?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what this
Full
is
of a
about.
lot of stuff. Yeah.
So
So
I'm gonna go
it was
ahead and
good.
send this to you. I'm gonna
Thank
send
you.
this to you, and you're gonna be able to look it over. And if you wanted to talk about it more, you can always just give me a text. Maybe we'll set up a time to just have a little phone call later.
Okay, and thank you for the Happy Mother's Day. I really appreciated that yesterday.
Abs-
I thought that was so sweet because some people put it in the text. I was like, "Oh, look, I got this." Oh, ooh! I kept finding little nuggets, little text piece, different
oh,
places where people leave where I Lois be. Oh, okay, here, Lois. Oh, okay. And a couple of them were really good. That actually. Oh my God, I was going up and down all day, but it was wonderful in the end.
well, I'm glad, and I
So
am. I
thank
am.
you.
I'm gonna be going down now. So you guys, you have a
All right,
wonderful day. Love you,
you
dear.
too.
We'll be in touch later in the week.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Martin. Okay, bye.
Yes. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you, Lois, for coming back on. Sorry, Mr. Spot. but we got you 12 in, and then I'll send you something a little later today over on Instagram so you can get that. Once again, I'm Martin John. I host the Recover Yourself podcast. I also host the Tao of the Day. So look for me here weekday morning Central Time. And other than that, I got workshops coming up. If you like what I do, you're going to love my workshops. My workshops are all about recovering yourself, recovering your sense of self, and get you to understand the Tao a little bit more, get you to understand yourself a little bit more. And not yourself, the egoic self, but the deep self that you are. And understand where you've been, maybe shortchanging yourself in your own life. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, if you like what I do, you can tip me through Venmo at @MartinJohn_Garcia, or join me at my workshop starting next week, Tuesday, and for the next 6 weeks after that. So if you are interested in attending one of those, please do. And I'm looking forward to working with you. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.